Have you ever looked at a big construction site? You know, the cranes, the steel beams moving around, all that activity, and just wondered, how does everyone stay safe in all that?
It really does look like organized chaos sometimes, doesn't it?
Exactly. But underneath it all, there's this hidden framework, a whole system of rules and regulations working behind the scenes.
Yeah.
It's making sure safety isn't just like an optional extra.
And that hidden structure, that's precisely what we're diving into today. We're going
Yeah.
through your sources on health and safety in construction,
Hmm.
focusing specifically on the key laws in Great Britain.
Yeah, our mission today is to unpack the main Health and Safety at Work Act, HASAWA, as it's known, which is really the cornerstone.
Hmm.
And then we'll explore some of the really important regulations that branch off from it. We'll use some real world examples to show you exactly how these rules actually protect people on the job.
Right. Think of it like building a mental database of these regulations. We'll see how they actually work in practice and everyday situations on site.
Hopefully, giving you those aha moments.
Exactly. Where you see why these rules matter, why they're not just, red tape.
Okay, so let's start with the absolute foundation, the Health and Safety at Work Act, 1974. HASAWA, 1974. This really is the bedrock, isn't it?
It absolutely is. Hasawa lays down these um, general duties for pretty much everyone involved, employers, employees, even self-employed people.
Okay.
The core idea is ensuring health, safety, and welfare at work. But key phrase, as far as is reasonably practicable.
Reasonably practicable. What does that mean in simple terms?
Well, it's about balancing the risk against the trouble, the time, the money needed to control it. You do what's proportionate.
Right, not necessarily eliminating every single tiny risk if the cost is astronomical, but doing what's sensible.
Precisely. And it applies everywhere, all industries, including construction, obviously.
Yeah.
It gives that legal framework for managing the risks.
And it's the Health and Safety Executive, the HSE, and local authorities who enforce it.
That's right.
And isn't there that requirement about a poster? I always find that interesting.
Yes. The official Hasawa poster outlining the basics, it has to be displayed in workplaces, shows how fundamental the act is considered.
It really shifted the responsibility, didn't it, towards the employer ensuring safety.
Absolutely. And crucially, Hasawa isn't just about the workers. It also protects members of the public who might be affected by the work. Think about people living near a construction site, for example.
Good point. So it covers subcontractors, suppliers. Its reach is really wide.
Incredibly wide, yes.
Okay, so if Hasawa is the big umbrella, now we're going to look under it at some of the specific, let's call them raincoats for different hazards.
Good analogy.
We'll dive into specific regulations that come from Hasawa. We'll throw out some real-world scenarios, and you at home can think, okay, which rule applies here?
And then we'll reveal the regulation and talk a bit more about what it does, connecting those broad Hasawa duties to the specific protections. Let's see how you do.
All right, first area, managing hazardous substances and the environment. Scenario 1. Imagine a worker. They develop breathing problems. Turns out they've had long exposure to silica dust, but weren't given or using respiratory protection. What regulation immediately springs to mind?
That points straight to COSH. That's the Control of Substances Hazardous to Health Regulations from 2002.
COSH. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
COSH dictates how employers and employees need to work with, handle, store, move, dispose of anything that could be harmful. We're talking dusts like silica or wood dust,
Yeah.
fumes, chemicals like paints, adhesives, even certain metals or things that could be explosive. But here's a key thing. COHH covers most hazardous substances, but not everything.
Oh, like what?
Well, things like asbestos and lead paint, they have their own very specific regulations because they're particularly nasty.
That makes sense. So sticking with that theme then, scenario 2. A site is storing materials containing asbestos, but there's no proper signage, no proper containment. It's just there.
Okay, well, that's a clear reach of the CIW regulations. The Control of Asbestos at Work Regulations, 2012.
AAW. Got it.
These are laser-focused on managing asbestos safely. They pulled together earlier guidance to make the duties really clear for employers, building owners, anyone potentially disturbing asbestos. Given its history, it needs those dedicated rules.
Absolutely. Okay, final one in this area. Imagine a site office, maybe a temporary cabin. It's poorly ventilated, stuffy, and staff are getting headaches, feeling tired all the time.
Okay, while your sources didn't detail this specific one deeply, it falls under the umbrella of the Workplace Health, Safety, and Welfare Regulations, 1992.
The workplace regs.
Yeah, they cover
Yeah.
general working environment, making sure it's safe and healthy.
Mm.
And that absolutely includes basics like adequate ventilation, temperature, lighting. It shows safety isn't just about the big, obvious dangers.
Right, so the whole environment. Okay, let's switch gears to equipment and machinery. Big part of construction. So, scenario. An apprentice, fairly new, is asked to use a circular saw. Problem is, they've had zero formal training on how to use it safely. Which regulations should the employer be thinking about?
That's a textbook case for PURE, the Provision and Use of Work Equipment Regulations, 1998.
Deeper. Okay.
PURE applies to basically all work equipment. Doesn't matter if it's brand new, secondhand, hired, leased. If it's used for work, PURE covers it.
Wow, okay, so what does it cover specifically?
Pretty much everything to do with that equipment. How it started, stopped, used day to day, moved around, maintained, repaired, cleaned. The key is ensuring it's suitable for the job, safe to use, maintained, and crucially, that people using it are properly trained. Like that apprentice with the saw.
Makes total sense. So, staying with equipment, what about a mobile elevated work platform, a MEWP or cherry picker? It's being used, but nobody did the pre-use checks, and there was no safety briefing for the operators.
That's also PUQ. Again, it stresses the safe provision and, importantly, the safe use of equipment. Those pre-use checks and safety briefings are fundamental parts of using equipment like MEWPs safely. You can't just jump in and go.
Right. Checks and training are key. Okay, now lifting. Always a big risk area. Scenario. A team is lifting heavy steel beams with a crane. But you look closely, and the lifting slings, the straps, they look really frayed, worn out, and they don't even have labels showing their safe working load.
Ooh, that's a major red flag. That falls squarely under ELR, Lifting Operations and Lifting Equipment Regulations, 1998.
Oh, Liller, so that's specific to lifting.
Exactly. OLR is all about ensuring that any equipment used for lifting or lowering loads and the entire lifting operation itself is done safely and properly planned by a competent person.
So that includes?
Oh, loads of things. Cranes, hoists, lifts like in buildings, but also the accessories chains, slings like in your scenario, eye bolts, even platforms used for lifting people like cradles for window cleaning. OLR demands regular, thorough examinations too.
Okay, so PURE for general equipment, ELR specifically for lifting gear and operations. Got it. Let's pivot now to physical risks and protecting the workers themselves.
Right.
Scenario. A worker is manually lifting heavy bags of cement all day, every day. No trolley, no hoist, just lifting. And no training on how to do it properly.
Okay, that brings us to the MHO regulations. Manual Handling Operations Regulations, 1992.
MHO.
Yes. The aim here is to minimize the risks from people, physically lifting and carrying things. The first principle is avoid manual handling if you reasonably can. Use mechanical aids.
Like the trolley or hoist in my example.
Exactly. But if you can't avoid it, then you absolutely must do a risk assessment. And MHO is quite specific about what to look at.
Oh, yeah. What factors?
It breaks it down into 4 things, often remembered by the acronym TILE. Task. What does the job involve? Twisting, scooping, holding things far from the body. Individual. What are the person's capabilities? Are they trained? Any health issues? Pregnant? Load? What's being lifted? Is it heavy, bulky, hard to grip, unstable? Environment. Where is the lifting happening? Is the floor uneven, slippery? Are there stairs? Is it cramped?
Wow. Tile, task, individual, load, environment. That's much more detailed than just bend your knees.
It absolutely is. It forces a proper look at the whole situation.
Okay, next one. Common sight, or rather sound, on construction sites. A worker using a really noisy jackhammer for hours on end. No ear defenders, nothing. Day in, day out.
Right. This actually hits 2 key sets of regulations. First, there's PPE, Personal Protective Equipment at Work Regulations, 2002.
PPE, yeah, we hear that a lot.
It covers all types of protective gear, gloves, safety glasses, hard hats, respirators, and yes, ear protection. The rule is, if a risk assessment shows PPE is needed,
Which it definitely would for a jackhammer.
then the employer must provide suitable PPE, free of charge, make sure it fits, is maintained and stored properly, and provide training on how to use it.
Okay, so PPE is one. What's the other?
The other is specifically about the noise itself, NEWA. The Control of Noise at Work Regulations, 2005.
NEW for noise.
Yep. These are designed purely to protect workers from hearing damage caused by high noise levels. They set action levels and exposure limits, requiring employers to assess noise risks, reduce noise where possible, and provide hearing protection and health surveillance if needed. Permanent hearing loss is serious.
Absolutely. Okay, staying with physical exposure, what about vibration? A worker using vibrating tools like grinders or breakers for long stretches without breaks. No job rotation, no monitoring of exposure.
That's where the VAW regulations come in. Control of Vibration at Work Regulations 2005. Very similar in principle to the noise regs.
VAW for vibration.
Exactly. They aim to protect workers from health risks caused by vibration, especially hand-arm vibration, which can cause painful and disabling conditions like vibration white finger. Employers need to assess vibration risks, limit exposure, and provide health checks if needed.
It's amazing how specific these get. Okay, a really serious one now, sadly not uncommon. A scaffold collapses because it wasn't put up properly and 2 workers are injured.
Okay, multiple things potentially in play here, but the most direct one is WAH. The Working at Height Regulations 2005.
WH, working at height.
Yes. These cover any work where someone could fall a distance liable to cause personal injury. So scaffolding, ladders, roofs, even working near an excavation edge. The rules emphasize avoiding work at height if possible, using existing safe places, and if not, using the right type of equipment, like properly erected scaffolding and ensuring people are competent.
But you said multiple things.
Yes, because a scaffold collapse also points towards the overarching CDM regulations, Construction Design Management Regulations, 2015.
Ah, CDM. We hear that mentioned a lot too.
CDM is huge. It's the main framework for managing health, safety, and welfare across the entire life cycle of a construction project. From the initial design concept through planning, construction, use, and even demolition.
So it's not just about the building phase.
No, it requires clients, designers, and contractors to all cooperate and coordinate to manage risks throughout. A poorly assembled scaffold suggests failures possibly at the planning, management, or supervision stage, all covered by CDM principles.
That really shows how interconnected safety management has to be. Okay, nearly there. Let's look at specific hazards and then reporting. High risk 1. An electrician is found working on a live electrical circuit without having isolated the power supply first.
Extremely dangerous. That's a direct violation of the EAW regulations. Electricity at Work Regulations 1989.
EAW.
Yes, a real cornerstone. These regs aim to prevent death or injury from electrical causes while at work. They cover everything from electrical systems and equipment design to installation, use, and maintenance. Working live should be avoided unless absolutely necessary and under strict controls. Isolation is key.
Vital. Okay, last scenario. It's more administrative, but crucial. A serious injury happens on site, someone breaks a leg, say, but the site manager just doesn't report it to the health and safety executive.
That falls under RIDDOR. The Reporting of Injuries, Diseases, and Dangerous Occurrences Regulations, 2013.
RIDDOR for reporting.
Correct. Employers have a legal duty under RIDDOR to report certain work-related accidents, diagnosed occupational diseases, and specified dangerous occurrences near misses that could have caused harm.
Why is that reporting so important?
Well, the HSE uses this reported information. It helps them see patterns, understand where and how risks are happening across industries. And importantly, it allows them to investigate the most serious incidents, to learn lessons, and hopefully prevent them from happening again. It's a vital part of the safety feedback loop.
So, wow, we've covered a lot of ground there. From the big foundation of Hasawa, we've dived into specific rules like Shikodeige for substances, PURE for equipment, ALOLER for lifting, MHO for manual handling, PPE, noise, vibration, working at height, CDM for overall project management, electricity regs, and finally, RIDDOR for reporting.
Yeah, and hopefully seeing them through those real-world scenarios helps you understand not just what they are, but why they exist, what specific dangers they're designed to head off. It's all part of building this comprehensive system to try and anticipate and control risk.
It really drives home that health and safety isn't or shouldn't be just a tick-box exercise or about avoiding fines, should it?
Absolutely not. At its core, it's about a continuous effort, an ongoing commitment to make sure that every single person who goes to work gets to go home safe and sound at the end of the day, every day.
A fundamental goal. So, reflecting on all this, what's the key takeaway for you, the listener?
Well, maybe consider how all these pieces fit together, how detailing specific safety measures, like in PURE or LOLER, and then requiring incidents to be reported under RIDDOR, creates this cycle. It allows for learning and continuous improvement in safety. So the next time you walk past a construction site or even just think about your own workplace, maybe pause and consider that invisible network of regulations that's there, working to keep people safe. And perhaps think about this. What other unseen safety protocols might exist in totally different fields, say healthcare or aviation? And how do those systems have to adapt and evolve as new technologies and new risks emerge all the time?